All right, everybody, welcome back to Chiro Author Insights. And for anyone who knows me, they know how excited I am about brain-based chiropractic and heart rate variability as a measure of adaptability and, being at the forefront of salutogenesis, which is why this conversation is going to excite you as much as exciting me. I'm with Matt Bennett. This is going to be an epic conversation. Matt, it's great to have you here, brother.
Oh, it's great to be here. I was so excited to meet you when you reached out, and excited to talk about some heart rate variability.
Oh, this is going to be one of my favorite conversations. All right, for those not familiar with the legendary work that Matt is doing, he is the founder of Optimal HRV and president of the nonprofit Optimal Innovation Group. As a relentless advocate of the trauma-informed care and healing, Matt's passion manifests in his books, including his most recent publications. Look at these puppies.
There they are.
This is epic, let me tell you. Heart Rate Variability, the future of trauma-informed care and the heartbeat of a business. And he has this incredible heart rate variability podcast as well. And the thing I love about this information is the ability to make the science of HRV accessible, to take that deep into an understanding, and then to know how to use that in practice and build a business around that is an epic contribution to this area, to this field. So, Matt, excited. Guys, grab this now. Take it next level into your practice. And, not only that, Matt combines his master's degree in psychology and business administration with his practical experience as a therapist and leader to develop research-based solutions and trainings to improve the health of individual staffs, organizations, and systems. As soon as Matt learned about HRV, like me, he saw its life-changing potential and became the next logical step in his work with the trauma-informed care paradigm, staff resiliency, and leadership. After spending months trying to figure out how to help integrate existing HRV technology into services, his frustration led him to create HRV specifically for those trying to help others live their best life. Hence the reason I'm here talking to this incredible human being. All right, Matt, let's start with a simple, fundamental question. People watching this may already know a lot about HRV, salutogenesis, adaptability because of their association with chiropractic or the work that I've done with the Neuroscience of Chiropractic Summit and a range of other innovations we brought to the profession. But let's just get that summary position of what exactly is heart rate variability.
At the very, very basic level, I say that it's the ability to handle or recover from stress. It's really measuring the stress response of the autonomic nervous system. Now, we can get into the ventral vagal brake and how that sort of kind of releases and sympathetic goes up and then puts the brake on the sympathetic. We could dive into a lot of the different algorithms with it, but to me, if you boil it down to the core, our ability to handle or recover from stress. And I think that's what, just that basic definition, and we can get a lot, like I said, a lot more complex with that. But that for me, hook, line, and sinker is I had to learn more when I started to learn that. So especially with my mental health background, that was it. And the more I dug into the research, the more I just saw that this could be life-changing for so many folks who didn't have access to this at the time.
Yeah, look, it is and I said to this before we jumped on the call, this is no longer the leading edge because it's been the leading edge for 20 years. This is now our gold standard of measuring and understanding that adaptive response. What is the significance, not only in chiropractic, but you've mentioned the mental health background. And if we translate that to all health, those coming into chiropractic practices, those coming to see psychologists or in the mental health field, or those even in medical scenarios, why is that ability to adapt to stress and to recover and to respond so significant, especially in times of turmoil and chaos?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's start with the first part of one, really the question, but it connects us all, right? What are you trying to do as a chiropractor? What am I trying to do as a mental health provider? What's their primary care doc trying to do? What's their acupuncturist trying to do? We're trying to help people live their best life. And so one of the things I just love was the first part. It really brings us all together. I'm working it from maybe a talk therapy perspective. You're helping, and I've realized just the complexity of chiropractic care and everything you do. You're really trying to help the ventral vagal function at its optimal level. So it really brings us all together around that. So where I got really excited is, with my work, especially my work with some of the most traumatized populations in our society, I really didn't feel like I had a way to measure progress in care. Was what I was doing working? And I had my surveys, I had my clinical intuition. I imagine your work, somebody feels better. You got these hints, but I sort of felt like a physician, and somebody comes in and says, "Doc, my leg really hurts." I might be able to think that the leg is broken by an examination, but was my treatment really working? And I felt like, from the mental health perspective, I was like that physician without an x-ray. I really couldn't see the impact that my service was happening. And so for folks that I work with who may be unhoused or in intimate partner or domestic violence situations, struggling with addiction, really the folks that were struggling most really thought, boy, this was a way, was what we're doing, was housing, was therapy, was medical care, helping them recover from all the stress and trauma in their life. So, working with folks that sort of just were surviving high sympathetic or high dorsal vagal, the fight, flight, or freeze, almost 24/7, this was a way to show, was what we were doing working? And so that really struck me as, I got to get the word out, because while I agree, and what I've learned from my buddy, Dr. Dave Hopper, who's a partner on this journey with me at Optimal, all about chiropractic work, I would say maybe 2% of mental health professionals know about heart rate variability. We talked to a cardiologist the other day who hadn't heard of heart rate variability. Now, he went back and Googled it and got really excited about what we were doing. But while I'll give you all credit, you are blazing the trail on this stuff. I'm hoping as advocates we can get this into other aspects of our society as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've mentioned that integration across all spectrums of health and the ability to serve the people coming into our practices to live their best life. That happens because we can identify the state of their nervous system, and really the HRV is the gold standard for measuring the integrity and intactness of nervous system function, governance, and control of all other systems of the body. And without that integrity, we have breakdowns in other areas. And what I love about your book is, one, firstly, that it doesn't just talk about heart rate variability. It gives the science, the neuroscience, the understanding, so you can have these conversations with patients, clients, practice members within the practice. So you deepen your knowledge and understanding. You've touched the tip of the iceberg, and this conversation isn't a symposium on heart rate variability. It's a conversation about a book to educate and inform practitioners. But I just want people to just jump in and have a read of this, because while there are some wonderful health services commentaries in there that as well, I think that the in-depth understanding of HRV, how it measures our state of nervous system, our resilience and adaptability, but it also talks about things you can do to improve that. And you've talked and spoken about lifestyle factors, exercise, etc. in there. There's so much we can do. Once we know people aren't adapting, there's so much we can do to help them adapt and be more resilient and respond better. Can you just briefly talk about, from a physical perspective, a chemical perspective, even an emotional perspective, the ways we can now blueprint recommendations to restore people's nervous system to greater control and health?
Great question. So, and I'm talking, let me come from a mental health perspective, because I want to step into the chiropractic world, and where I really believe my folks need to really rethink how we look at mental health, because over all the research I've done, and heart rate variability has just really reinforced this and challenged me, that if I don't talk to people about really, I just start out with 8 hours until you prove me otherwise. Like, I've been on some sleep devices that have said 8.5, 9 hours. And I think that's probably where a lot of us are. So talking about sleep hygiene, talking about, nutrition. I'm obsessed with anti-inflammatory foods, what we put in our mouth is going to either exacerbate or help us regulate our stress response. Again, HRV is going to help us measure that, along with what else we know about diet. And then I've been talking just a lot about movement. I think sometimes when people hear exercise, I got to go run a half marathon. It's like, no, you need to walk around the block. You need a wheelchair around the block. You need to do whatever you can do. I've stopped jogging, and there's nothing wrong with jogging. I've just walked, and I've lost weight. My heart rate variability keeps going up, and again, nothing against running. There's a time and place for that, but my knees feel a lot better, and I'm seeing a lot of other health benefits. So what now I see those as the 3 pillars of resiliency. So as a mental health professional, if I don't talk to patients about that, I'm really setting a ceiling on how much I can help them. And then you throw mindfulness and other things on top of it, and you're really bringing that ceiling up for folks as well. So I think these holistic, and again, I know I'm preaching the choir with chiropractors here, that holistic approach is what we all need, and hopefully can connect, because one of my frustrations here in the States is I don't have access to chiropractic care for so many people I work with. It's not covered under, we have a horrible insurance system over here if you're not familiar with it. So it's not covered under that. And I really think people need that. People need a massage. Folks might benefit from acupuncture. And I'm really hoping this brings holistic medicine. We all have a biometric that we're working on from different angles, but let's let that person thrive.
Yeah, I love that. Thanks for that, buddy. And, I've got a conversation in mind that I want to share with everybody here, which I think is paramount. But before I go there, I just had a second thought that you've written this book, and you're obviously in this space and a great thought leader. How has writing these books affected your ability to share the message, impact those that you work with, and even get that message? Because you spoke about, we need to get this message out there, and a small percentage of people are aware. How is this book leading the charge in relation to that?
It's gotten me into conversations like this. It's been an exciting journey to really bring this, and push this kind of into the worlds I'm in. And one of the things I wrote in, I just published the Heart Rate Variability, Future of Trauma Informed Care, is actually a revised and updated edition. The science in the mental health is evolving so quickly. It's like, I just had to get an updated version out there. One of the surprises, though, is I wrote this book primarily for helping and healers. I hope it transitioned well into your world, into primary care. Really strive to do that, education, those arenas. And then business leaders started to reach out. And I had a dozen or so calls with business leaders trying to convince me that this could work in the business world. And my partner, co-founder, Jeff, just laughs because the other half of my brain, as you mentioned, the introduction, is a master's in business administration. So, the heartbeat of business sort of came out to say, hey, you all are hungry for this as well. Here you go. So it's just been fun to, I wasn't talking to chiropractors before about my passion for trauma-informed care, for healing, this word. So it's sort of opened all these amazing doors. I've learned so much about biofeedback, neurofeedback, some of the great innovations in acupuncture. So I would love to say I taught a lot more, but I've been learning so much from folks like yourself as well. So stay tuned for another updated book, as my learning curve just continues to pretty much just go straight up.
Brilliant. Love that. And I'm looking forward to it already, because I love it. These are epic. And the last question I have for you, which is you alluded to that with the heartbeat of business. And I'd love for you, just as we close here, the subtitle of this, positioning heart rate variability as a competitive advantage. So a precursor to the question I have for you is, chiropractors who are brain-based in their focus, who know that the role of chiropractic is to remove interference of the spine and nervous system, allowing the communication between brain and body, and therefore expressing the health and life potential of the individual. The brain governs and coordinates all function in the body, bar none. And we know one of the measures of the performance of our nervous system's ability to coordinate and then adapt to stress is heart rate variability. And so there are many chiropractors that go, we have technology in our practices, and I certainly have the technology in my practice to measure heart rate variability. But that doesn't mean we know and understand the way to magnify the message of this out into the community, or how we know to monetize this process within our practice, or to use the technology to serve getting more effective clinical outcomes results, and also serving the client, patient, practice member, experience the benefits of longevity of care. So all of this goes through my mind. And when I read your book, it was like, boom, we've got a business model. So as we wrap this together, because I think people are going to want to love, or are going to love the Heartbeat of Business Book in particular, because of its ability to position the heart rate variability business model in practice. What's your number one takeaway for docs who are brain centric in their focus, heart rate variability technology equipped to then reposition themselves as the leaders in the industry around this? I'd love your just thoughts there to bring this conversation to conclusion.
Awesome. So I would start with that, and I'll try to be short with this because that, boy, that's I wrote 300 pages on it.
That's a whole book.
So I mean, I think to start out with, and you'll hear this repeated over and over in both of the books, cognitive, emotional, social, physical health, right? So think about, from a business perspective, how important is, let's just start with cognitive and emotional health. We know that those things, the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex are highly active at the same time. We got balance there, parasympathetic, sympathetic, so really giving the message, one, we can help them with the medical health of their folks, but also the social, emotional, cognitive side of things as well. And the business world, and I'll just say this for your listeners out there, that there's challenges, because, it's funny, in the States, at least, when we go get a job, we give them like all of our information, like birth certificates, social security numbers, like we give it all to them, but nobody wants to share their biometrics. So we're still sort of at the edge of this, and people are a little shaky, and there's a huge lack of trust with our employers, is what I'm learning. But, we can work to de-identify it, to really do that, but really helping business leaders see, hey, there's this metric that's really going to predict both the resiliency against stress, but also things like productivity, how they engage with clients, their social IQ, their emotional intelligence, and what does your business need to succeed? And I would say any business is not only employing AI, they need people to be at their best. And that's what folks with chiropractic expertise, I think, are just really designed to do, from, again, nutrition to getting people on movement plans. I know COVID has hit, but the ocean didn't stop it from hitting over there too. So the workforce is often, at least in the States, and I'm sure it's the same, really burned out right now. So I challenge leaders, what's your recovery plan? And how do you know that recovery plan is working? And, HRV is the best metric out there to measure it. Now, you still want to look at turnover rates, employee satisfaction surveys, but those things that sometimes should merge together. So, don't be ashamed of your expertise. Get it out there. It took me a little bit of confidence, because I went from 0 to 60 on the HRV stuff because I just nerded out about it so much. But there's a message. And again, I think chiropractors, with your holistic approach to health, are ideally positioned. And a lot of people go to y'all. So you probably have an executive on your table from time to time, bringing up this conversation, putting together some work. Hopefully you can take, even the table of content in the book, and really put together some stuff that really gets this message across. And if you need help, I'd be happy to talk to anybody. So
yeah, brilliant. And now the details are there, and the books are there. And Matt, I'm so grateful, because there's not enough literature out there. We have a love of it, we have a knowledge of it, but to be equipped and resourced the way you're providing this information, I personally am grateful. I know that the docs watching this are going to say, yeah, I've got to jump on board as well, because there's more I need to know, more I want to learn, and greater service I want to provide, and this makes it possible. So guys, details down below, you can click on the link. Let's grab those. Let's continue to build our brain-based chiropractic practices to serve humanity at a more profound and powerful level. Matt Bennett, I'm grateful. Appreciate you, brother. Keep changing and saving the world. All right, everyone, let's go do this together. Thank you.
Thanks.